Happy New Year. All right. When I do these live feeds, of course, for those who are used to the live feeds, they're pretty nonchalant, nothing really scripted here. Just using my basic webcam, and we're just gonna do a rebuttal video today. I haven't done one of these, definitely not since the new year, of course. And with that being said, happy 2023 to everyone who has been a supporter of the channel, and honestly, not even just folks who've been a supporter of the channel. What I mean by being a supporter of the channel is just folks who have subscribed, right? I mean, that's kind of like our goal, right? To get that plaque from YouTube. Got a long way to go, but so anyway, thank you, and for all the folks who do just watch the content, who again are not subscribed, but just take the time to comment. Sometimes even those few that we get that are not me, that I get that aren't really positive or just hater comments. Anybody takes time to watch the video, it is appreciated. Even they're doing, they're helping to grow the channel. So today, what I'm going to be doing today is a rebuttal video. It's really interesting for a reaction video. I like to do these when I'm not going to do any name calling yet. It's when guys put up videos on YouTube, and I like to give my response to it. Usually they're in regards to watches, and most of the time they are in regards to Invicta. And it's not that that Invicta is a hated brand. It's just it's a very polarized brand. People do, and I don't want to overgeneralize anybody, and I think we're all guilty of doing that sometimes. Is overgeneralizing. Well, people either hate them or love them. There are people who don't care. There are people in the middle who are like, yeah, they're okay. But there are those people who hate the brand and they do anything they can to bash the brand. Now, remember, in my opinion, these are the kind of people who they do this with everything in life. It's not just, it doesn't stop at watches. These are the people who bash the brand, and then if like you like a particular restaurant and they don't, they'll bash the burgers at the place, right? Everything that they do, they're like narcissists, really, in my opinion. Everything they do has to be number one. It's perfect. It's the best, and nobody else's opinions matter. It's their way or the highway, right? They don't have the ability to reason and to really look at these specifically watches objectively. And a lot of times when guys buy luxury brands, I've said it for years. I've been doing this 10 years on talking about my opinions, and over the years, I've gotten a lot more watches in my collection, collaborated with way more companies. And what one thing I've learned is that watches they're pretty good across the board. Whether you're in top tier luxury watches or you're at $90 Invictus, the quality control or the quality level, in my opinion, it's not like luxury and then Invicta. It's more like luxury and like Invicta. You know what I mean? Like right here. And once you hit that level of good quality, we have poor quality, and then that level jumps up real quick to good quality, like a pro diver, like your reserve level Invictus, and then that quality just gently creeps up. Now, what doesn't creep up is price. That just jumps up really, I mean, through the roof when it comes to luxury brands. So what I want to do today, it's really interesting. I saw another YouTuber the other day. I forget which one I was watching. He did a live feed about this guy's video, Watch Trading Academy. And it's funny, I recorded a video in regards to his video, the Watch Trading Academy. And the title of the video is Invicta Watches Are a Scam Against Poor People. So we're going to see what that's all about. Now, I have already watched this video, and I recorded a video about this, and I accidentally deleted it. But then I wanted to come back to it because I saw another YouTuber the other day go ahead and do the exact same thing. He had a few different people. I think it might have been Trap Vision. Had a few people on there, a few other guys in the Invicta community, just kind of talking about it. So it's kind of a fun way to kind of put our opinions out there and then correct some of the fake news we see on YouTube. And it happens nonstop. Anybody who can honestly look at watches and objectively rate them will tell you that the Pro Diver is a fantastic watch. And I've said it many times. If you're going to go with the Submariner Homage, you have a lot of options. The Pro Diver is not my favorite one, right? But at $68, you can get one for that. That's an incredible value. It's pretty hard to beat for what you're getting. I prefer the Paganis, right? Or like a Steel Dive over the Invicta when it comes to specifically Submariner Homage style watches, right? So with that being said, let's watch the video. I want to thank, we have 15 people in here today. That's pretty good. I want to thank each one of you for popping in, whether you like me or hate me. We don't know who's in the chat, but I do appreciate it. If you do want to let me know who's in here, drop a comment in the chat section off to the side. I'm not sure where it might be on a tablet or a cell phone. Let me know who's joining us today. We have Chris Nidro. I know how to say it. I'm not going to do it. Chris Nidro, he says he has 3 Invicta watches. I brought 2 of them from different pawn shops. I really like them and got so many compliments on them. Fantastic Merchant Diver watch is my favorite. And of course, we have Mr. James Perez in here today. Jif Pop, all finally caught a live one. Yeah, it's really hit or miss, James, when I do these things, right? So what we're gonna be doing today is just my reaction video. Let me get my fan here because I usually sweat a lot doing these videos. All right, so we're gonna begin. We got 13 people, and the title of the guy's video today is "Invicta Watches Are a Scam Against Poor People." Pretty set statement there. Let's see if he's going to back it up. And this is from the Watch Trading Academy. So let's see what that's all about. Now, again, I kind of have an idea. I did watch this already. Like I said, I already filmed a reaction video to this weeks ago, but I accidentally deleted that. I don't know what happened. So Neil says, Neil Cooper. Hi, Neil Cooper. Here from UK. Welcome. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Let's begin here. And if you guys can't hear this or you run into any kind of technical issues, let me know because sometimes I ramble along and I don't know. So here we go. So let's start off. Here we go. You guys ready? Yeah. I'll just jump forward a little bit. Sorry, guys. All right. All right, so I'm going to stop it. This is how I basically do things. I'll stop and critique what he's saying. All right, so first off, right off the bat, that's a false statement. There are some poor people who buy Invictus. There are some poor people who go and charge a Rolex watch. Not everybody who buys a Invicta watch is poor. That's an overgeneralized statement, and I hate when guys. We're all guilty of accidentally doing it sometimes. I really try to catch myself. The statement "why poor people buy Invicta" is completely false. There are people with lots of money who buy Invicta as well. So again, fake news, the first false statement of the video. And let me just pop into the chat again one more time here. I want to welcome Cobby TV, of course Thaddeus, and Time Machine Eddie, one of my usual suspects. You're up there with the GIF pop. All right, so and I will come back and read these comments. So real quick, I just want to read these real quick here. Thaddeus just said, and I read these off because not everybody can see the live chat depending on the device you're on. So, all right, so Thaddeus just said, however, one has 17 victims, love every single one. Kubi, Tabi, Kubi. He said, I'd rather have Invicta. I'd rather buy an Invicta on HQ than getting it from the Invicta store. I disagree. I have great luck and much better prices buying through Invicta stores. I used to buy some watches from Shop HQ. Not that you cannot find great values. I do still use Shop HQ once in a while, but generally Shop HQ, they will market a lot of the newer models, and they don't. A lot of their products between Invicta stores and Shop HQ don't overlap. So a lot of times when they do a new release, there's a lot of hype around. They have the show. The Shop HQ channel definitely brings, if you're interested, and a lot of Invicta collectors are, more of that community kind of vibe. They launch a lot of the newer models on that site. But I get great deals on Invicta stores, and I get great service. The only thing that I say with Invicta stores is the shipping time kind of sucks because sometimes you got to wait 5 to 10 days sometimes for them to actually ship it, and then you got to wait on UPS. So I always say if you're going to buy and you're really impatient and money's not an issue for you, then get the expedited shipping. But I've always gotten return emails from Shop H or from I can't say that about Shop HQ. From Invicta stores, they have like a 24-hour, at least in my case, rule. I have a question about an order, like they always get back to me. There's never that chasing after somebody. So I love Invicta stores. Time Machine Eddie just said, well, I bought a Pro Diver, my favorite Invicta. It was $700. It's awesome, 48 millimeter tungsten. Yeah, man, that's a sick watch. A little too steep for me. I've been wanting one of those because I can't. It's hard for me to get my brain around the weight of the watch. So pretty cool. And then James just said, there's some popping, brother. Is your phone by the speaker or fan? Yeah, my phone is, man. Tell me if that's better, James. Thank you. Let me move the fan too. Is that better? I'm gonna assume it is. Just let me know if it's not, man. I think it is. All right, so let's continue on. So again, this guy's statement: Invicta watches are a scam against poor people. He says poor people buy Invictas. Thanks, James. Awesome. Yeah. So completely untrue. You have rich people, you have middle class people, you have poor people, and that can be said with any product out there. All right, so that's again another just false statement. I mean, he has no way of knowing who based. He doesn't. He's not privy to any kind of demographics or sales analytics from Invicta or anybody else. So it's just a statement with no real facts, with no facts behind it. It makes no sense. Again, it's just fake news. It's one of these guys that get on YouTube and just state nonsense. And the unfortunate part about it is some people will look at this and listen to it, and there are a lot of gullible people in this, we'll say, world, right? It's just the facts, right? This is not. There's nothing backing this statement up. Okay. All right. All right. So let's move on here. All right, so I'm going to stop him right there. Actually, that's completely false as well. Any watch can be shipped, can be flipped for profit. Any brand, any model, any brand out there. Let me just be clear on that. Any brand can be flipped. It just depends on, do you have something that falls into that whole supply and demand hot category, right? If you could have any product out there, if the demand is there and the supply is low, you can sell it for more than you paid or get your money back for it. Or in some cases, you can get close to that, right? We can't. I don't want to overgeneralize again and say, oh, you can definitely, if it's hot. I have watches that are completely very desirable, but my what I want for them, like my Android 55 millipede, I never wear. I have it listed for like 700 on eBay. That's where I feel comfortable selling it. I may negotiate a little bit on that, but it's going to go to the right buyer. It's something I don't wear anymore. If I sell it, cool. If I don't, it's no big deal. I'm not in. I didn't invest in that watch in order to make a profit. I just bought it because at the time I liked it. I still like it, but generally, if I have a watch and it doesn't sell, oh god, did we lose audio? Can I get an audio check? I don't think we lost audio. Kubi just said he can't hear anything. I really hope I don't have to reboot again. This is so annoying. Can you guys still hear me? James or okay. All right, so the other video. Okay, can most of you folks hear the other video? Do I need to turn it up? Neil, you can hear the other video? We can't hear the liar's video. Well, I'm not playing it at the moment. Let's All right, let me turn it up a little bit. I'm gonna play it for 3 seconds and then you tell me if you can hear it. Can you hear that? All right, let me try. Maybe I have it too loud. Let me try it again because I have the mic pretty close to my sound bar. Can you guys hear that? Is that better? All right, folks. The whole point here is so we can hear the other guy's video. I will answer your questions, of course, and comment, but I want to make sure. I know you can hear me. Can you hear the video? I'm going to play it. All right, I'm not playing it at the moment. So when I play it, man, we get some technical difficulties here. When I play it, I'm going to give my thumbs up, and then I'm going to. All right, hang on. I think there's a delay in these comments. I'm going to play the video. When I put my thumb up, I'm going to press play. And then when I put my thumb down, I'm going to stop it. Tell me if you heard anything. Ready? Did you folks hear any audio when my thumb was up? Yeah, man. I don't know what's going on, guys. I have my mic. It's picking me up, but for some reason, it's not picking up the sound of his video very well, or at all, I guess, from your end. Let me try turning it way up. Did you guys hear that? Jim Pop said my speaker is filtering the lies. No, man, I'm using the same microphone for what you're hearing right now, so you should be able to hear it. I'm just basically pressing play. LaDonna, I'll answer you in a second. I'm trying to figure this out first. I don't know if I can switch microphones here. Can you guys still hear me? All right, let me try something else here. Man, talk about technical difficulties. Let me try to play it on my phone. Maybe the mic will pick it up a little better this way. Man, this worked great last time. I don't know what happened. I'm going to answer it, LaDonna. You're going to have to wait. All right, so the whole point of this video feed today is so I can critique what this guy is saying about watches, Invicta watches specifically. So let me just try playing it on my phone here. And let's see if you guys can hear this better. Don't worry, folks, we'll get it resolved. But before we it's really weird when I Google this guy's video on my phone, it doesn't show up for some reason. Man, this is one technical difficulty. Here it is. All right, see if you guys can hear this. And today we are going to be talking about poor people buying Invictas. That's right. I know it sounds pretty harsh to use these words, but we're going to talk about why poor people are staying poor and why specifically buying watches like Invictas are just going to continue. All right, so cool. All right, so actually, we'll just do it that way here. Have the phone kind of against the speaker. Let me answer LaDonna's question so we can shut her up. Just kidding, LaDonna. I understand you want the name of the watch. So I just did a video on this again. I've had this watch for about 10 years now. This is the Zeus Bolt. I'm gonna call it the Zeus Bolt Original. In my video, I don't want to give away my video. My review, I did the silver, did the review on this one in all stainless steel, and then I did the video. It included this watch as well. And this is done in the yellow tone gold and rose tone accents on a little bit on the face, of course, on the braided cable, function pushers, and crown. Yeah, this is, I kind of forget what I have sometimes and I have to dig through my safe. And I remembered I had this. And yeah, it's just a crazy, incredible watch. It was, this style was number 2 in my collection when I started collecting Invicta. It's incredible. And, I mentioned in my other video, without digging into that too far, I mentioned like I can't stand out what Invicta does to their names. It's like they recycle names. And if you click the link in that video that I made, when you guys see it, of course, it's I have you search. I have the search string Invicta Zeus Bolt, right? That's the name of this watch, and it pulls up like the Magnum. It pulls up like they've recycled that name with other newer models. And I wish Invicta would just turn around and just say, hey, this is the Invicta Zeus Bolt original, and then kind of change it up a little bit. They kind of layer all different kind of watches into one like title or name. So a little annoying, but anyway, it's a sick ass watch. It's hard to find. You won't find this one, unfortunately. I think it's discontinued. I'm not really sure on that, but it's a beast. It's gorgeous. All right, so let me go back. We have 17 people in here, which is great. Let me go back and answer some more of the questions, and then we're going to listen to this clown's video. Invicta watches are a scam against poor people. And again, if you're new to the chat, looks like we lost some people. If you're new to this particular video, I'm basically responding and doing a reaction video to his video with some of the things he's saying. This is something I saw another YouTuber do the other day. I think it was Trap Vision. He did it with like 3 other guys on the live feed. And it was funny because I was like, dude, I just did that video, and I recorded a video probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I deleted it. I didn't get a chance to upload it. I somehow messed up my SD card on my camera, so I wanted to come back, just do a live feed on it because the guy brings up a lot of nonsense, and I want to just rebuke that, right? So all right, so let me go back here. I'm sorry, guys, that we had this technical difficulties. Fly Guy just said, let's see here. Neil said I could flip Invictas over here in the UK, and so the original thing stated in this guy's Watch Trading Academy video is that you could just flip any. That some people think you can flip any watch, and that is true. You can't just flip. You can't flip any watch, but you can flip any brand if there is a demand for it. Like this watch, obviously Ladon is really hot and bothered over this one. This is going to be hard to find. There's a desire, there's a market for that. If she feels that way, I'm sure other people do. I'm saying she. I believe Ladon is female. Sorry if you're a dude, but there's a market for this one here. I could get more than I paid this because I got it for a really great price. I think it was like $200. So again, remember, it depends on what you get it for. If there's a demand, it's the product name is irrelevant. Sure, there are other products that are more desired, more collectible, of course, but that's just not a general rule. You really have to take each product kind of on a case by case basis. Okay. All right, so Fly Guy just said if you paid $700 for a pro diver, you got ripped off. That's not really true, Fly Guy. The pro diver that Time Machine Eddie's talking about is Tungsten. Tungsten is extremely expensive. You're not going to find a Tungsten watch by anybody other than Invicta for a price that low. And if I am wrong and I'm missing something, tell me so I can go buy it. You're not going to find that in the $90 price range, $200 price range. Tungsten is expensive. It's super heavy, and you do pay a premium for it. Also, I believe the watch that Time Machine Eddie's talking about has I believe it's a Salida SW200 movement. I think you're gonna pay a premium for that movement as well. It's a what they would call a higher class or higher tier movement. Remember, at the end of the day, they all tell time. So to me, I don't really. It's when I own different movements, it's just because I want it in my collection. There's no real benefit to that particular movement, right? I'm sure on paper there is, absolutely. But in the real world, does it tell time? Does it look good? Yeah, so it's a win-win. There's really no, I wouldn't pay extra for that movement. If I had the choice of buying a Salida SW200 or NH35 and save $500, I'm going to go with the NH35 and save $500. That's everybody's different. So, but you're not going to find that watch for much under that. You might get it in the 5, maybe if you get a special deal, but it just depends. But he didn't get ripped off on it, just being clear on that. Donna already answered your question. Mario just said, welcome all you guys who popped in, whether you're Invicta fans or not. I'm happy you're here. Of course, if you piss me off, then you'll get booted. But anyway, Mario just said, I'm not an Invicta fan just because watches are not my style. But other than that, nothing against Invicta. And that should be the attitude of everybody in the watch community. It's okay to not like something. This is huge. My dad's not going to wear this, right? I don't even wear this a lot of times, right? It's just when I feel like I want something big. Not everybody's going to like everything. Some folks have kind of a cap at what, the size they want, the weight they want, the look they want. Some folks don't like gaudy things, but you can still respect everybody's taste and just appreciate the fact that they like watches. It should be part of it. Like, there should be unity in all liking a watch, not thinking like you're better than other people or trying to classify people as poor or not poor, because that's completely false, right? We'll touch on that a little more. Fly Guy got an automatic pro diver for $80. Yep, you did get a pro diver for $80, but you didn't get a Tungsten automatic with the particular movement. That's probably in that the SW200 probably. All right, so let me move past these. These are sound issues. Catching up here. Jeff Pop speakers filtering the lives. Look at that again. Come on, man. Let me scroll down here. LaDonna, stop spamming. LaDonna, I already told you the name. It's a Zeus Bolt. Zeus Bolt. All right, I think we're back on track. Regular low, what up, man? He said, yeah, I saw the video. The guy's a turd. I completely agree. You know, and I don't like to. I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. He is a turd. I mean, I don't really like the name call, but I have no problem name calling. Somebody is what they are, right? If they're bashing on stuff that I like, right? All right, LaDonna, one more time. It's Invicta Zeus Bolt. That's it. Write it down. Invicta Zeus Bolt. All right, so let's begin here. All right, so we're going to continue on. Let me open up my phone here, and here we go.
So before we continue, just so you understand what this channel is about, for those of you that are new joining us, this is Watch Trading Academy, where I teach people how to trade real watches. And so often when it comes time to trading watches, people assume, especially when they don't have a lot of experience in the space, that any watch can basically flip for profit. Now, historically, anything in the world can be flipped for profit. It's a question of supply and demand and your ability to have something someone else wants at a price that is significantly cheaper, even an Invicta. However,
all right, so completely agree with that statement. It is all about supply and demand. He did kind of catch himself on that in stating that. So I agree with, it is all about supply and demand, even in Invicta. But I don't really like the way he says it, even in Invicta, because it's not even in Invicta. Invicta's quality is top notch. And again, remember I talked about quality? Here's your, let's pretend this is your Rolex. Invicta's not down here. Invicta's like right here. Those quality differences are going to be on paper. They're going to be in the movement, and they're going to be those fine attention to detail, and definitely I would say quality control. But don't get it confused. You can still have a problem with even the high end top tier stuff. Okay, just be very clear on that. But the quality control, somebody looking over the watch, regulating it, it's definitely there. You're not going to get that with Invicta, but you're not paying that much for Invicta, right? It's to be expected if you're paying 20 grand for a stainless steel watch that you are getting an element of quality control, right? You would think you're paying that much, you get a little something special, right?
Most people just misunderstand what we mean when we say watch trading, thinking that all watches can be traded. In reality, we are referencing and referring to a high-end luxury timepiece.
All right, that completely contradicts what he just said, because now he's saying that people are getting it confused, that it only relates to high-end watches. Well, he just stated that anything based on supply and demand can be you can profit off, right? So again, contradicting himself. I don't really understand how you can do that in the very next verse. But let's continue on and see what he has to say.
Not just watches you're buying at your local mall. Now, there are watch brands that you can buy at your local mall that can still constitute being flipped. They're good watches to buy, like Breitlings, Hublots, Rolexes, etc. that are used.
All right, so I don't know where this guy lives, but at my local mall, I don't find Rolex watches at my local mall. We have two jewelry stores, I think, in there, and you're going to find Invicta. You'll find like Breitlings and stuff like that, but I've never seen any Rolex watches locally. Of course, it's been a while since I've been to the mall, but again, when you state the word flip, okay, when we hear the word flip, or what we think about flipping, right? You hear it a lot with houses. You're buying low and you're selling high, right? So you're gonna flip it. And the idea behind flipping it is buying it and then unloading it really quick, not sitting on it for an extended period of time. You're getting a deal, you're getting it for the right price, you're getting it below market value. But generally, the reason for that, at least with real estate, is you generally have to put work into it. Very rarely will you go out, and I'm not saying this doesn't happen, but I'm saying for the most part, a good steady rule is if you buy a house for a certain price, there has to be a reason for you to be able to get it and then sell it immediately, do nothing to it and sell it. And that's what he's basically talking about with watches. You're basically getting your hands on it and immediately unloading it and being able to turn a profit. The only way you do that is if somebody who's trying to sell it wasn't selling it under like the right platforms. Maybe they didn't have the reach. Maybe they didn't have the clientele to move it. Maybe they didn't have the rapport with the clientele and say, I trust this particular dealer. I'll buy it from him. But this guy over here, Joe Schmo, I don't know him. I'm not going to take the risk, right? So there has to be something to allow somebody to just take a watch, not do nothing to it, and sell it. Just like with real estate or a house or a car. You don't buy a car really low just for the hell of it and then turn around and sell it to somebody else. Sure, there is a sucker born every minute. You might do that, but on a good rule of thumb, the idea behind flipping is that, at least when it comes to real estate or cars, You're going to buy it for low because there's something it needs, right? You buy a car, maybe it needs, some body work. You have the skill set. You're going to use your own labor that's free to yourself, right? And be able to put a little work into it on yourself, not to pay a contractor to do it or a mechanic to do it, and then be able to turn a profit, right? With watches, unless you buy something damaged or maybe heavily scratched up, you're going to put some kind of work in, then maybe you can flip it for more. But really, the only other reason you'd be able to do that is if you got it from somebody who maybe was really desperate, didn't have the time to wait around, and they took a loss. You have to have the loss somewhere. So let's see what else he has to say here.
Usually sold in malls and jewelry stores, not at specific watch stores like Macy's or Invicta stores. So what is wrong with Invicta, and why should you not be buying these watches if you intend to multiply your wealth rather than stay poor? So
all right, so this is taking the stance and the assumption that there is this group of people out there that is interested in not collecting watches but flipping watches to try to, or investing in watches, and that there's a big group of people somewhere out there buying Invictas. I don't think I've ever, in my years of doing this, over 10 years of reviewing all different products, but you always see the Invictas on the channel. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody buying watches, specifically Invicta or Aragons or Bulabas or like your affordable watches, and trying to flip them or buy them for investment purposes. That's not why people buy Invicta, right? The reason why people do that with the really expensive brands is because there is the potential for you to make money off those by waiting, by putting in time, keeping the watch in a box, not looking at it, right? There is a frenzy around luxury brands, especially Rolex, like we all know. So the possibility for you to profit off a Rolex, I would say, is greater. But that doesn't mean any Rolex watch. Like there are Rolex, if you go to eBay, there are thousands of pre-owned Rolex watches selling for less. Now, I don't mean selling for less like, oh, this guy bought it 15 years ago for this price and now he can sell it for more. I don't mean that kind of appreciation. That's called inflation, in my opinion, not really appreciation. Inflation helps to drive the price of these things up because the new ones have gone up in price. So if Rolex says, hey, 15 years ago, this this Submariner cost $5,000. And then throughout time, that price on that Submariner has stuck around $5,000. That would kill the market and the appreciation of the watches purchased around that time. Nobody's going to go out and spend $5,000 on a used Rolex when they can buy the brand new one. Hence the knucklehead, it's constipated. He wanted the Batman. We're not going to talk much about this fool, but he wanted the Batman. He got the Batman, and he was pissed off that he didn't get the newest movement, right? So again, you have the exact same looking watches, newer movement. Which one's more desirable? Even he said it. He wanted the new one. So how do you expect somebody to pay full retail price for an older model when the desire is there for the new one? So again, it's not a guarantee to make money, right? You have to be able to specifically know which models are hot, but also be able to get it for the right price. And any boob can do that, right? I'm not a Rolex fan, but if I knew somebody that I trusted, local dealer, right, selling something that I know I can get 20 for and I see it for 15, I'm going to find the means to go ahead, tap into savings account, tap into retirement, whatever you need to do, put it on a credit card in order to flip that watch because I know I'm getting this really cheap. I can instantly unload this. Now, those things do happen, but it's not a guarantee. It's not like, oh, you can't train somebody to just use good common sense, right? I guess you kind of can, right? But I don't know. Generally, these things you kind of come along these things once in a lifetime. In order for you to do that, you're taking advantage of someone else's loss. That's. All right, so let me just catch up on the comments here. You guys still with me? Focused on what we're talking about? Let me see if anybody responded to what I'm saying here. Rio, greetings. What's up, my man? Cool out AC. If you compare high-end name brand watches, budget watches at 200 to the fashion brands, they're worse quality. So the guy thinks all 200 watches suck. Let's see here. I'm trying to. If you compare, I don't think. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Actually, I don't think. I think there are 200 watt. I think what you mean, if you go into like Macy's and you spend 200 on like a Kenneth Cole, right, and you take that same 200 to buy an Invicta Reserve or an Aragon or Pagani, I think you're going to get better quality with the later. But again, that comes down to being a smart shopper. Are you going to pay for that big giant Macy's store with all the overhead and inventory and employees working there in a mall, right? You're going to pay more for those products. In most cases, you could get that Kenneth Cole watch online for less, right? That's just be a smart shopper. Rio said, "Hey, Fat Cat, there's a lot of watch snobs that hate on Invicta." That's what we're talking about, guy. Or Androids and other brands because they put out an attractive and good operating timepiece in a full price. Yeah, I think that they hate on those. I think a lot of times the snobs, as I call them, well, and for purpose of this video, we'll refer to those folks as snobs. I think a lot of times the guys who collect or like higher end pieces are just kind of nasty people to begin with. But because anybody who disses somebody else based on what they're like, they're just miserable people. I mean, plain and simple. You know, they're the same kids in high school or grade school that used to try and do that. And you know how you deal with them? You punch them in the face, and then they stop, right? Those are those kinds of people who never really grew up, never really. They're just not nice people. But with that being said, I think guys like that have to bash brands like Invicta and Aragon because it it takes away from why they bought the watch. Like it makes them kind of look stupid. You pay 20 grand for a stainless steel watch. How did you pay 20 grand for that watch when you can get this beautiful watch, many beautiful watches under 500? They have to make a difference. Like, no, that watch isn't this quality. When really, there's a little bit of that's true, but not to the extent they make it out to be. And that's where the problem lies, right? The dishonesty. Um, Cool Out just said, personally, I don't consider most watch snobs collectors. Most are just bad investors. You know, some people, I think, again, getting back to investing, are you buying? You don't buy a watch. If you're buying a watch for investment purposes and you say, okay, which I would never do, but if you were going to say, all right, I got my hands this brand new Rolex, you shouldn't be wearing it. If you're going to buy it for investment purposes, hope to profit on it, it should get boxed up and never worn. Keep it mint condition. That's generally what people do when they're trying to invest in things, right? Mint condition is what, just like toys, right? I have a ton of toys from them when I was a little kid. They're not really worth anything because they're not brand new in the box. People want mint. So again, I would never invest in watches, but a lot of these snobs who buy Rolex, they have the false perception or the false idea that, oh, well, I can't really afford this watch, but I'll wear it for a few years, show off. And then when I want to sell it, I'll make money. And that's not always the case. Neil just said for the money, Invicta quality can't be beaten. 100% agree. Many great watches out there, many great values. Invicta, it's up there with any of them, right? Neil says we don't buy Invicta watches with the view to sell them. We buy them to wear. Absolutely, it's something you don't really care about whether or not. I don't care when I buy a watch. I don't care about the resale. I'm not worried about Oh, well, we want to get my money back. I don't know. It doesn't evoke a concern or a worry, right? So yeah, you're 100% right. Rio, what up? He said, "Hey, Fat Cat, have you ever held a discussion with Archie Luxury regarding for?" No, I would never do that because I don't associate with people like that, right? The people who I would have a conversation about quality would be somebody like the Urban Gentry, right? Or somebody like Richard Pratt Watchmaker, or guys who are objective and kind, right? And honest when they talk about quality and are realistic about it. There are guys out there, those are just a few off the top of my head. There are many others. But yes, I would, but not with scumbags like Archie Luxury. Sorry. Is he entertaining? Absolutely. Is that probably part of the whole channel? I get it. But I mean, as far as like having a legitimate, honest conversation, I wouldn't waste my time with somebody like that. He's just a loudmouth, in my opinion. But he could be a nice guy in person. So you never know. Remember, some people are playing. I'm giving you my own opinion and my own skill set here on based on my experiences. Okay. But other people are here to really entertain you. And his is more of an entertainment channel. There's some education in there as well, but more entertainment. So I don't let anything that guys like that say. He bothers me like less than most of them, honestly, because he's just that's part of who he is on the channel. You know what I mean? Israel just said, "What up, Israel?" He said, "Yo, PK, word, bro. Love the lives on break outside the casino Vegas, taking the show. Very nice, sir. Awesome. I'm jealous. Let's see. Cool. I see those guys will always be chasing their tails." He'll said, I'm talking about $200 Citizen Seikos, etc. are cheaper but no better quality than Fossil or Invicta. I think I don't like to overgeneralize. I think you have to take each watch as they come. Their Invicta watches, I think, are sub-quality to this, right? And I never like to use price to determine that. Sometimes you'll get a great deal, then $100, like my Sub Aqua Specialty midsize. Yeah, the quality's there. It's on point with this. Go comparing that to some of the other $100 watches where you might have overpaid a little bit. And I don't, again, I don't like price, but let's say the $40, $60 Invictas, there is a difference. Are they garbage? No, but I kind of like compare them to more of like Fossil, the Kenneth Cole stuff, stuff you might find kind of in the racks, like the center racks at Macy's, more of the designer type brands. It's something for everyone, but there is a difference in quality there. But I don't like to use just, I don't like to be so set on my assessment, right? Kyle, what up, man? Hey, Fat Cat, glad to catch a live show. Yeah, man, I'm so glad you guys were able to pop in today. You just never know with these feeds if we're going to get anybody. Sometimes my keywords I put in the title, just you guys, I don't know, people just don't show up. Regular low, he said, if you want to invest, I just put in money in S&P 500. Yeah, I think that's a much better. I don't know anything about that, but if I was going to invest, watches be the last thing I would choose. And Cool just said there are some nice snobs like that guy Teddy. I don't like Teddy. I think he's a snob. He's like a white collar snob. You know what I mean? He's not gonna get down the gutter too much. He kind of keeps his reputation. What he feels inside, the conversations he has in his head are probably totally different that he's gonna put on camera. He tries to keep a professional demeanor, right? So I do respect that, but I don't really care for him. And then let's see, true, each company has different models made differently. All right, so cool. So I caught up. Let me move on here with this video. This is gonna be a long video, guys. So I hope you guys stick with me the whole time. All right, so let's continue on.
Simply put, Invicta watches are basically $100 watches that are being sold for $500, $600, $700. Therefore, the value of the watch basically is non-existent, and you're paying a margin.
All right, completely false. If you look at and I'm telling you guys already know this. If you guys are Invicta collectors already, this comment is more for folks who maybe stumbled on this video and don't know any better, right? Maybe they heard about Invicta and they're like, they saw this idiot, and they're like, I don't want to, I'm getting ripped off. And that's not the case. Most Invicta watches are not $500. Sure, Invicta, they do have the newest models you might pay more for. Again, remember supply and demand, how that works. You might get some folks who want to. I've spent about $450 on one of my Invictus, but mainly because at that time that model wasn't really around much. Did it come back 2 years later? Could have got it less. Yeah, I did overpay, but that's kind of how it goes sometimes. You take the risk sometimes if you really want something to say, man, if I don't get it, I may not be able to get it again. So I'm going to pay for it now and hope it doesn't come out for cheaper. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So it just depends on the product. But to make the statement they're $100 watches, that's totally not true. This guy, myself, nobody, unless you work for Invicta, you don't know what the manufacturing cost is on each watch. Every watch is heavily marked up. And I think anybody, if you saw what those numbers were like to manufacture watches, you'd be quite surprised at how inexpensive they manufacture all watches, right? That's just the way it is, unless they're made in the United States, and then you got to pay a premium for them, right? But when it comes to overseas, you remember, I always go back to Rolex. You pay a premium for it. It's not just markup with Rolex, but you're paying insane labor rates in parts of the world. We've got people don't make $15 an hour. They don't make $3 an hour, like in China or wherever, all these other third world countries, a lot of this stuff comes out. So you pay for that. That's it. But they don't ever want to admit that. It's always about, no. These take a year to make. Bullshit, they do, right? Rolex pumps out 1 million watches a year. There's a lot of machinery involved to do that feat. That's a lot of watches. So again, most Invictas are going to be in that, I'd say, $100, sometimes less, right? $100 to $300 price range, right? And they're always on specials. They're always on sale. And I'm not going to touch on the MSRP. I don't agree with Invicta's MSRP. I've said it many times. It's a little too crazy. I think it cheapens the brand. Absolutely. I think they should do away with it. If you want to have the MSRP, have a realistic MSRP. If this watch normally sells for like $3 all day long, then put an MSRP of $5. And then you can fluctuate the price, have some deals, have it go on sale. It's not so extreme. And then people don't look at that and say, oh, they're trying to screw me, right? I think it cheapens the brands. Maybe someday they'll do away with it. Whether they do or don't is irrelevant. What you do get is an amazing value and great quality. And so Invicta watches, we don't know what they cost. I think in some cases they're less than $100 to make. I think, this guy's just pulling numbers out of his ass, but they're not $500. They don't sell for $500. They do have the models, but we're looking at 4,000 plus different models. The price is all over the place, and it depends on what you're getting versus that supply and demand. So again, false statement.
for the idea of getting something that has value. Any watch.
All right, so the idea of getting something that has value, let me just be very clear. If you're buying something based on price, that's the wrong reason to buy something. You should buy something based on whether you like it or not, whether it's going to bring you enjoyment, right? It shouldn't be about whether you're going to be able to get your money back and have that concern, unless you're specifically trying to invest. And this isn't the channel for you, right? And I don't think you should. You should buy something because when you look at it, you're like, oh, I want to wear that. I get excited to wear it. I get excited to talk about it. If you buy things for you and not for others, then you will never really feel the need to sell them, unless, like in my case, my millipede, I got other ones. I wear those more. It's just sitting around collecting dust. There are going to be opportunities. There are going to be sometimes you want to sell something. There's going to be sometimes where you say, hey, this is pretty hot right now. Let me try to, I'll sell it. Here's a perfect example. I had a bottle of Mason Francis Kirk John, I always say his name wrong, Oud Satin Mood, right? That fragrance is like $350. Now, this fragrance was sent to me on the house. Awesome, super generous by the company. I did my review, but here's the thing. This has sat in my cologne closet with 300 other fragrances for years. It's a beautiful scent, but for whatever reason, it's just one I never really wear. I wore it once, so the bottle was full. So what would I rather do? Let that collect dust and eventually go bad, or pass it on? So I took what would be considered not really a loss because I got it for free, sold for 200. Then I took that 200 and I bought 8 other bottles of fragrances that I like more and I wear more and I really like a lot more than other fragrance, so they get use. So the reason you should buy something is because you genuinely like it. That's it. That's the only reason. And people don't buy things because they're like, oh, I don't know anybody in the Invicta community at least that says, oh, I'm getting a $500 watch. This is a $500 watch. No, that's not the way it works. There is a real world value of these watches and not a personal value. All my watches have personal value. I like this watch. I'm not going to sell it. Whether I can sell somebody tomorrow is like, I'll give you 5 for it. Like, I'm not going to sell it. I like this watch. I enjoy wearing it. It has value to me. It doesn't necessarily have monetary value. Sometimes it may, sometimes it doesn't. It's irrelevant. I like it. And that's all that matters.
On a Macy's shelf is just as good as an Invicta watch. Any crappy watch, regardless of the brand, can do the same thing this does. And it really has no value in terms of precision, but rather it is an item mass manufactured for individuals who like the designs of Rolex watches.
All right, so let's stop right there. Couple things. All right, so again, I gotta go back. Sorry, guys.
The idea of getting something that has value. Any watch on a Macy's shelf is just as good as an Invicta watch.
That's not true at all. Again, that's an overgeneralized statement. Any watch on a Macy's shelf is as good as Invicta. That's not the case at all. There are watches that are inferior to Invicta, and there's watches on par. I highly doubt, unless we're getting one of those Invicta watches I talked about in that $40, $50 price range. Like if you compare that to the Bulova watch at Macy's, the Bulova Precision is in my opinion, superior watch to like a entry-level pro diver. It's a nicer watch. Does it make one feel like a shitter? Or no, absolutely not. You don't pick them up and be like, wow, this Invicta's a real piece of dog shit. That's not the case. There is a difference, but it's not like this guy's stating.
Crappy watch, regardless of the brand, can do the same thing this does.
All right, so any watch, regardless of the brand, any crappy watch can do the same thing this does. Well, why does that argument not apply to Rolex? Because any crappy watch that costs $10 with a shitty quartz movement tells time better than the Rolex. So why does that argument never work towards luxury watches? It always works towards the Invictas when they want to bash Invicta. Oh, any cheap, shitty, chip bag $10 watch can do what Invicta does. But yet, no, the Invicta can't do what the Rolex does. There's a double standard in an argument that doesn't make any sense with these clowns.
It has no value in terms of precision, but rather it is.
All right, so that's not true at all. In terms of precision, the Invicta watches have just as good value as Rolex. If we go back to Richard Pratt Watchmaker, where he did the video giving a full review of a pro diver, right? He gave that watch a 9.75. This isn't Phatkat Collections in his office talking about things that he just loves, because he loves them, right? This is a watchmaker, a guy who knows a lot more than I do about the movements and what goes into movements and how to regulate them and everything else, how to fix them, all these things that make a guy be able to take a whole movement, disassemble it, and put it all back together correctly, right? He knows what he's talking about. He gave the Pro Diver a 9.75 out of 10. So if we assume that the Rolex is a perfect 10, what are you paying for? A 0.25% difference in quality? To me, that's not worth it. It doesn't matter though if it's worth it, not worth it to me. It all matters is that's worth it to you, and that's the whole point. But that doesn't mean you go bashing other brands because it's not a Rolex, so that Invicta must be a piece of shit because it's like a percent of the price. That's just not that. Those are just bullshit lies. And if we're talking precision, in that video, Richard Pratt regulated an NH35 movement in that Pro Diver to +1 negative seconds per day, which is on par to a certified chronometer by Rolex. So where is the precision difference for the price? It's just a facade. It's a lie.
Is an item mass manufactured for individuals who like the designs of Rolex watches and other watches. As you can see, this is a very
okay. Not the case. So that statement basically is basically putting out the false information that Invicta makes watches that are affordable for folks who like the designs of like Rolex and other watches. That's basically saying Invicta is copying the Rolex watches or other watches. Not the case. Invicta makes the Pro Diver, which is the Rolex Homage. Most of the Invicta watches they make are original designs. They're not copying anybody. But Invicta is not stupid. They know there's other companies. There are thousands of companies making Rolex knockoff Homage watches, right? Invicta's not going to sit back and be like, we're not doing that, right? They make a good quality product. They make a solid product, great value. They're going to make something for everyone. They're not stupid. They're not just going to sit back and worry about this douchebag's opinion. You know what I mean? So very, very just false information. Again,
similar to a deep sea or one of the sea dwellers, etc. But yet it is that. It is an Invicta. So they basically mimic the designs of your favorite watches that are unaffordable, luring you into basically believe.
Favorite is subjective. My favorite watch is not a Submariner, so nobody's luring me into wanting to own a Submariner. You know what I mean? I like the Submariner, but I don't like the price, right? Is it my favorite watch? I'll take this over a Submariner any day of the week as far as design, style, compliments, conversations I have with people based on these watches. Again, the statement is being made that basically Invicta makes copies for people who can't afford the real deal. The watch you really want is a Rolex, but you have to get the Invicta because that's what they do. They copy watches, and you can afford the shitty Invicta watch. Completely fake information, fake news, false.
That you can afford things that you really shouldn't be buying. So let me explain to you the difference between how the poverty mindset and the wealth mindset.
All right, let me just stop that too. I forgot to mention, you also mentioned mass produced. Rolex watches are mass produced. They have to be mass produced if you're producing if you're selling 1 million watches a year. These guys like to pretend that there's a guy with a file making each individual piece of a Rolex watch. That's not the case. These are machine-made watches. There's a lot of human involvement, of course, but they're mass produced. Okay, let's not get it twisted. Let's not lie about it.
Because you see, I've been rich, I've been poor, I've been rich again, and I tell you, just like the Wolf of Wall Street said, I pick rich every time. Why are you laughing, Reggie?
What a clown.
Okay, all right. Reggie, our videographer, always seems to find my jokes comical.
No, not the joke. He's laughing at you. He's like shaking his head.
So that was not your watch that you brought in. Okay, just making sure you're sure about that. Okay, what are you wearing now? You're missing a watch. So if I put this on your wrist right now, can we do the test? Well, let's test it out. Why don't you bring your wrist in front of the camera here? Put it in. Just put it in front of the camera. Show people if this is indeed your watch or not. It's like we're gonna do the Cinderella thing. You say with the big black guy.
Okay, so what he's doing now is basically insulting his cameraman by saying, "Let's see if this Invicta watch fits you." Basically, like there's some insult there, which is what he's trying to do: insult the guy that, oh, this is his Invicta, not mine. You know what I mean? Fuck him.
Oh, look at that.
All right, so let's move forward a little bit.
Fit. My God, how did that happen?
What a fucking clown.
Monthly notes instead of car prices. Like when you go to a dealership and you don't have a lot of money, it's indeed your watch or not.
All right, here we go.
It's like we're going to do the Cinderella thing. Say with the big black guy. Oh, look at that.
We'll just listen to it.
A perfect fit. My God, how did that happen? Yeah. Yeah, anyways, yeah. So I heard you have a better watch now, but nonetheless, we should maybe wear it. Yeah. My point was made. Reggie was busted. But anyways. Back to what I was saying. So let me tell you a little bit about poverty and wealth and the difference between the two and how we think. It's not about buying expensive things. It's about understanding what things have value and what future value they hold. You see, poor people typically think of items based on what they can afford. They have what they call an affordability meter in their head. That's
okay. Everybody who is not rich should have an affordability meter in their head. Okay. That should be common sense on being an adult, like to not spend beyond your means. There's no point in going out and spending $100,000 for a Patek if you're going to have to sell your house and live on the street in order to own it. So this is just a guy with zero common sense. It is also be noted that he says he's talking about what people should and shouldn't buy. And in this video, if you look at his office and you watch this video, this clown's got like a life-size Transformer statue, a life-size Mickey Mouse statue, a Coke machine that's what's on the Coke machine here? A Coke machine
Why you've been convinced.
that's got a Ferrari logo on it. And we're going to touch on that as well as far as resale and why you don't cross brands. You don't take a Coke machine that may be vintage and have value to a Coke collector and then slap a Ferrari sticker on it. That defeats the whole. That kills your resale value. It's not original. So this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just a clown.
Traditionally sold things like car monthly notes instead of car prices. Like when you go to a dealership and you don't have a lot of money, you typically don't say, how much does this car cost? You typically say, how much does it cost a month? Meaning your capacity for affordability holds more weight over the actual contextual price of the car. So therefore,
all right. So most people have car payments. I mean, most people, in today's day and age, people are impatient. So I mean, I'm not sure how this relates to watch collecting. I mean, or the rich mindset. Anybody, this is not some this is common sense. This is not some sort of like hard to grasp concept. If you have a shit ton of money in your bank account, and you want to buy a car, of course you're going to go out and just pay for it cash. Most people don't have the discipline to sit back and say, hey, I want that car. I'm just going to go ahead and save every month for 5 years and then go ahead and buy it. A lot of people aren't in that position. A lot of people do live paycheck to paycheck, most people, and they have other bills. And when a car breaks down, cars are so expensive nowadays that you almost have to make payments on it. I mean, when you go looking at the price of a frigging new truck, you'll get like $80,000. Most people aren't just going to go ahead and tap into their bank account and pull out $80,000. They'll say, hey, I'm willing to pay more for this based on your credit. Could be a lot more, right? But most cases, if you're buying an $80,000 truck, you probably have pretty decent credit and you're going to be making a payment. And people would rather pay a little bit more in order to have that money set aside for a rainy day, sitting in the bank rather than to exhaust everything they have. Now, if you have a couple $1 million in your account, again, and you want to buy an $80,000 truck, most people aren't going to make payments. They're just going to buy it and call it a day, right? So again, it depends on the situation. It depends on what people actually have as far as what they make, what they're, it's very common for people to make car payments. It's not something that just poor people do. Although it is something, again, cars are so expensive that sometimes they have to make payments. They still need to get from point A to B. That some people don't have the luxury of being like, oh, well, I'm going to save for 5 years, buy this car so I can save a couple $1,000s on interest and just walk to work for the next 2-3 years. People need it now. They're going to go ahead and make the payments. And that's why we have financing. It's the same reason why most people have mortgages. Houses are extremely expensive. Most people in today's day and age, we don't live in a time anymore that the middle class, that most people could say, hey, you know what? Like my folks, they saved on a modest salary half the price of their first home. Half. Again, everybody lives in different parts of the country, but where I live, you can have a great friggin' job. You're not saving half of that. You're not putting down half of the house. Like you're going to have to save for like most of your life to do that. Like, sorry, that's not the case. Unless you have a real hot shot, amazing job. That's just that's not, people aren't capable of being able to do that. So again, overgeneralizing. This guy is not speaking. Sure, there are situations where this is true, but too much overgeneralization. Let me catch up with the comments here if you guys are cool with that. Still got 19 people. What do we got here? Sorry, folks. I wish this would. Scott just said, amazing, brother. You are live. I love this show. Thanks, Phatkat. Well, thank you for popping in, each and every one of you, for taking the time to listen to me ramble. Some folks like me, some folks don't, and that's okay. Clark just said, what up, Clark? He said, hello for the show. Hello to Phatkat Clark. Gotcha, sir. Fly Guy said, Invictas are really not expensive. Just some stores be price gouging. Yeah, it's true. Again, be a smart shopper. Invictas are super affordable. Invictas are hands down one of the best quality for value watches you can buy. Hands down. And just so if some of you are new to the channel, I have like 200 something watches in my collection now, all different brands. I have a pretty good understanding of what you get for your money. Perfect resource for this is Time Machine Eddie, who's joining us in this chat. He has Rolex. He has higher end stuff. He'll tell you his Invictas are more durable. And you could have a personal one-on-one conversation if you want with him in the chat. That's fine. But I mean, the honest Rolex owners will tell you that. Let's see here. AZ just said I did spend 700 on the Sub Aqua specialty a while back with the tourbillon movement. You're going to pay more for tourbillon, absolutely. Tourbillons generally, it's hard to get under 1,000. That's just the way it is. It doesn't matter. It's not like you're like, oh, it's not like, oh, I paid 700, got ripped off. It's not the case. Like you pay for tourbillons. Very rarely will you find a tourbillon under 1,000, and when you do, it's usually an Invicta because you're getting the value. But that's probably a sick watch. Oh yeah, walking up in this piece. All right. He said, gorgeous piece, but I sold it a little after a year because he rarely wore it. Yeah, sometimes we buy things and we're like, oh man, this is the one, and then you get it. Kind of like girlfriends, right? Sometimes you get one and you're like, man, this is the one. And then you find out that it's, there's more going on there, right? So it is what it is. Not everything works out. That could be said with anything in life. If it's not making you happy and you're not wearing it, using it, find one that does. Let's see. Cool out said, in terms of precision, what's he mean? 10 seconds off or 5 seconds? Yep, exactly. You're exactly right. Precision is just being stated with no objective way to measure that precision. It's just completely false. Fly Guy said, Bulova got great watches, but I like Invicta better. Yeah, I'm Bulova, I think is if we compare Bulova quality to like reserve quality, they're on par. I mean, there's no difference. Bulova is a great piece. I love my Bulova Precisionist. I would maybe like to pick up a black and gold one eventually, like the Grammy edition, if you can find one used and I'm in the market. I have so many watches, I generally won't like get hot for one, be like, I gotta get it, But I like Bulova, absolutely. But Bulova does the same thing. $750 for a Precisionist on their website. Go to K Jewelers, place like that, $750. Go on eBay. I got mine for $230 on eBay, right? And it's legit, it's solid, it's the real deal. So again, now they're a little more around the 500. Get it on Amazon around the 455. Prices changed a little bit, but again, great watch. But everybody marks their watches up. Is it better than Invicta? No. Is it on par? Yeah, and vice versa. Flag, I said I have Invicta iForce. It never loses time. Time Machine Eddie said Invicta watches have amazing movements. I know because I own all of them. Very true. Eddie's a great resource. Very few of my pro divers look like Rolex G's. Rolex is small, old man's watch. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I wear some Mariner Homage watches from time to time. It's kind of one of those watches I wear when I'm just like dinking around, sitting on the couch. You know what I mean? If I'm not looking to really show off a little, which I think we all like that once in a while, kind of get those compliment getters, I'll wear some of those watches, but they all get wrist time is my point. And I like them all. So it just depends on, your taste and your mood. Neil said exactly. I've never had so many great compliments when I wear Invictus. Time Machine, he said more human hands touch Invicta watches in production than Rolex. I mean, that very well may be true. I mean, Eddie's again a guy who's kind of digs a lot more into the nitty gritty with watches. Whereas me, I just like, I'm pretty novice with the way that I film videos, and I just keep it really simple. I just like them and I enjoy them. I'm not really too interested in digging into it, but Eddie is, and that's awesome because he provides a lot of really great information. But again, I don't know if what Eddie's saying is true or not. I would like to have more of a conversation with Eddie about that. Fly Guy, he said, I seen a video a while back where I thought the same things you're saying. You definitely earned a sub. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. More subs the merrier. AZ just put a bunch of clowns up. Regular Low had a message retracted. And then Sean Wood said the guy is a, effing clown. He talks shit a lot of his videos about poor people's mentality. Yeah, let me show that one. I don't know why they held that. We can show that. That's totally true. Yeah, he's just a piece of shit. He's a wannabe Wolf of Wall Street is what he is. David said, I own Invicta, Pagani, Casio, and Timex. All will last me until time. These haters are pathetic. I'm just glad people still enjoy watches. That should be the focus. Absolutely, man. My Invicta is like this one here. 10 years, I think 9 or 10 years. Gold is absolutely beautiful. There's no wearing. I've worn the hell out of this watch. There's no scratches. And you are going to get scratches, by leather jackets. A lot of them have a button on the inside that can scratch, like if it's a mirror polished watch. This one here, you have some recessed links, so of course they're a little bit more protected. Folks ask me, well, what about the gold? Is going to wear off? I've never had gold wear off. Like again, people's skin chemistry might change it a little bit, but I worked with a guy at one of my jobs, and he had a gold watch. It wasn't Invicta; it was like an Addy K. And his gold was actually wearing off pretty quickly, but I think just because maybe his skin was a little more acidic, not really sure. But I've never had the problem personally, and nor do I have anything negative to say about Invictus. Az just said, Israel said, "Can we get a state of the collection?" Oh man, shit, sorry, these are flying by quick. Hang on, sorry guys. Hey, Phatkat, Rio just said, I spoke to Archie Luxury regarding buying one of his timepiece CBAs. It's the same on telephone. He does his show. I feel like I was doing business with an adolescent. Well, yeah, well, there you go. See, that's a guy I would never talk to then. Michael said, hi, Phatkat. Just joined. What up, Michael? Israel said, can we get a state of your collection? Yeah, I know. Not today, though, man. It would take way too long. And I just haven't done a video like that. But yeah, maybe someday. Don't know about changing girlfriend things with the same one 36 years. Man, that's awesome. I mean, I think, we all have this. I've always had the intentions of that, but things don't always work out. So my parents have been married 55 years now, maybe 60 years. So, I mean, I come from a family where when you love someone, you love them. And that's kind of how I treat the things that I care about. My cars get treated exactly. I don't buy a car and be like, it's old, fuck it. Like, that's not my thing. I mean, everything in life takes maintenance, whether that's relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, jobs, family, everything takes maintenance, and don't be fucking lazy, right? A lot of times relationships fail when, let's face it, we live in a disposable society. That's not my personality. I can only speak on in my relationships. That's been kind of how it's been. People are replaceable, move on. And so fuck them. If that's the case, that's how you feel, then you're doing me a favor in the long run. So, but I will say I'm with you on that. I come from a family where love is everything, and when you love somebody, that's all you need. But that's not the case in today's society. So that's why you just got to find one that thinks the way you do. All right, let's see. Suges has a tourbillon for 600. They use the Seagull movement, which snobs like, but I don't think Seagus is a name brand they support. Yeah, I'll have to check that one out, man. I haven't seen that one. Sean's message got held again. Let me see what he said. Sean said he's a clown. He doesn't know his hand, I think he means, from his ass. I bought one of a Victor brand, did some research, and I know the quality I was getting for the price point. I was blown away how good it was. Okay, yeah, man. Sean said head. Gotcha. Sean says, since watching your shows, I've bought a sub aqua venom and a Huracan. Awesome, man. I hope you're happy with them. I'm sure you are. Montrese said, how you been, brother? With a crown? I've been great. Sean just said, sorry for his message keeps getting held. Since watching your shows, I bought a sub. No, I've already seen that one. There it is. Sorry for being negative. It's these kind of assholes that get to me. The common sense isn't that common these days. I always say that, man. Common sense is not common at all. And remember, there's hateful people out there, and everybody has an agenda. And we're going to get to this guy's agenda in a second. Montrese said, 55 years. Salute to your parents. Yeah, man, they're the best people on earth. One love, family. You're a wide dude. Joseph said, you're a wide dude. I know what you mean, man. Kyle said, gold tone wore off my Nixon player on the clasp quickly too. Yeah, I don't have any experience with Nixons. I would have probably got one if I didn't discover Invicta. Nico said, been watching the channel for years. Always love your reviews ranging from watches to firearms. Keep up the great work. I will, man. Thank you for watching. Just so you guys know, okay, and then I'll answer PG's. What's most you paid for a watch? $450, I think, maybe close to $5. That's a stretch for me. Everything else I've been comped, so I'm very lucky and fortunate. Brands want to work with me, so it's awesome. So which gives me watches I normally wouldn't spend money on, and I can give an honest review of what you're getting. There's markup across the board, and prices are all over the place. So again, be objective, be smart. I can help you in any way I can, always. And then Big Noise says, "What up, watch people?" So all right, so as far as firearms, just a little tidbit here. No guarantees quite yet. I have a Typhoon shotgun, and the reason, let me give you a little story and we'll move on. I have a Typhoon 12 gauge tactical shotgun, sort of an AR-12 style. I bought that a couple of years ago. I did a video on it. Been helping a guy a little bit about buying one. Just some guy on one of my subscribers or viewers, and just tell him, I like it. So I did have a little bit of an issue with it cycling properly, and I only shot it once. Ran about 50 shells through it. Sometimes you got to break things in. And the reason I bought Typhoon was because of their videos showing the gun cycling through, like, I think they did like 500 rounds, right? 500 shells, and there was not a hiccup. Mine's having a little bit of an issue. So reach out to the company. I don't want to touch, I don't want to have the whole conversation here. We have a lot of stuff you got to still watch. But long story short, I ended up getting in contact with the owner who actually answered the phone. Amazing customer service, hands down. I mean, I very rarely in today's day and age do you guys know? Do you call somewhere and get to talk to somebody on the phone, let alone the fucking owner? So there might be a collaboration there between Fat Cat Collections and Tycoon Defense. So stay tuned for that stuff. It won't be probably until around the summer, but we'll see what happens, guys. All right, so let's continue on here, and I'll come back to the comments here. Let's come back to this clown here.
If I told you that a car was $30,000 but was going to cost $1,000 a month, that wouldn't be as attractive that if I told you a car was $60,000 but was going to cost you $499 a month. The $499 basically take precedence over anything else because.
Well, of course, it's cheaper. Everybody always, most people with a brain in their head look at things and say, "Oh, well, this is cheaper per month. I have more free money at the end of the month. I have more free money to spend on other things or just to put away and save." Everybody's going to lean towards that's cheaper, unless, of course, you're looking at luxury items where they say, "Oh, you know," a lot of guys in the watch community look at less expensive as being less quality, and that's not the case at all. Again, being a smart shopper, this guy's just spitting what most people should do anytime they purchase something. Know what you're paying for. Like in this case, it's cars. Know what the MSRP is. Know what the invoice price is. This is all common knowledge you can find online. My whole thing when I'm buying a new car, and I probably will never buy a new car again, I just feel like you can get too many great. You know, I have 4 vehicles that don't get a lot of miles anyway, so I probably will always buy pre-owned or used. But if you are going to buy new, know what the invoice price is and find a dealership willing to sell you that car for 3 to 5% over dealer invoice. Then shop for financing. If you can get a good financing rate, if you are going to finance it through the dealership, great. If not, go ahead and call around to different banks. Be a smart shopper. This is what being an adult is all about. Making decisions, researching things, and then deciding. Picking something that's going to work for your wants, needs, and budget. This is not something this guy's not telling us anything new.
Affordability. That's usually how when you're middle class, growing up, or anything else, everything falls into what you can afford rather than its real worth. As a result of that, you make questionable decisions based on expenditure rather than conservation. So most of your expenses are basically driven by making X amount of money and spending Y and retaining X. So giving you an opportunity to basically save some money in addition to have things you want. That's typically how poor people basically characterize and use money.
Okay, that's not poor people. That's all people. Everybody, no matter who you are, everybody looks at what you make versus what's coming in versus what's going out. I don't, and usually if you're rich and you don't, you end up poor or broke, right? I don't even use the word poor. If you're not going to manage your money, it doesn't matter if you're rich or you make 40,000 a year or you make 400 million a year. If you're not, it's a lot harder to mismanage your money. But look at guys like Nicolas Cage buying castle after castle. They get themselves in financial problems because they probably never had the common sense or experience to really be able to manage their money. They think it's going to be there forever, and you have to plan for a rainy day.
To affordability. On the other side, when it comes to wealth, we typically look at things from a lens of value. What is this worth today? What will it be worth tomorrow? Do I want to make an investment in it today? And is there a cost of carrying the asset because we typically buy in cash? So the difference is.
Okay, that's not always true. And again, if you're looking at something, what a boring way to look at life, in my opinion. I that's not the case. This guy's making the overgeneralization that people with money, people who are rich, always look at everything they buy with the intent on profiting. Okay, if that's the case, then why would this guy go ahead and buy a 6-foot Bumblebee Transformer statue? Your market's pretty limited. I don't know anybody really shopping for that. Why would you buy a Coca-Cola machine, right? With a Ferrari sticker on it, right? That's not. I'm not an expert when it comes to Coke machines, but I can tell you right now, people don't want a Coke machine that says Ferrari unless there was a collaboration between Coke and Ferrari, and I doubt that's what we're looking at here. So again, what was the point of buying these things? He probably liked them. So again, are you worried about resale? Or are you, making the statement? There's okay for some things that if you are a watch investor, right, or you're a guy who is trying to flip watches, fine. Then just state that about that specifically. This guy overgeneralizes everything, like that somehow people with money are more superior, and that's not the case. We see rich idiots every single day online. Let's face it.
We don't really care. I mean, we could leverage a loan, but the point is we don't really care for if we can or can't leverage a loan, and then we care about the cost of that loan. So if someone said, well, I will lend you for this particular watch or car $100,000, we wouldn't just say, well, what does it come out to a month? the first question that comes to mind is, what is it going to cost me to take that loan? How many percentage points? What does that mean?
All right, everybody does that. Let me not overgeneralize as well. Most people, when you're going to take out a loan, let's say you're going to buy a car, and they say, okay, how much is the car? Great. What's the price per month? And you're like, 500. And then next thing you're like, well, what does the car cost? 10. Okay, most people are going to look at that and say, well, there's got to be a lot of interest there. What kind of interest rate are you giving me? Again, there are suckers born every minute and there are fools in it. And if you are one of those folks who's basically going to take out a loan on something you're totally screwed, there might be circumstances where you have to. Let's say you have to have a car and you're going to be taken advantage of. There are companies like rent-to-own companies who do take advantage and provide a service for people in which they pay more for items because of their situation in life. Bad credit, unestablished credit, not knowing how to handle their money. There are people looking to take advantage of people all over this world every single day. It's up to each individual person to be smart, take a deep breath, look at what you're doing, look at what you're spending your money on, and buy things based because you love them and can afford them. Again, if you don't want to do that, that's not my place. Do what makes you happy ultimately. This is what I do. If you don't want to do that, then spend how you want. But it's not up to me to tell you what you guys should do with the money you're working for.
In terms of losses per month, that is the cost I carry. And can I use that money elsewhere? Very different than saying, I have to borrow 100. Does that mean that basically I have to pay $1,500 a month? So the difference really is our understanding of how money works and our capacity for retaining money rather than spending it. So I make X and I spend Y, just like poor or rich, you do the same thing. The difference is most of my expenditures in the Y go into what we call a preservation item rather than just putting money away. So shortly put, if I buy a watch for $150,000, I just make sure that it's worth either 160, 170. Should I choose not to want it?
Right. That's common sense. That's not, if you buy a watch for $150,000, there are people out there who buy things just because they want them, right? There are people with a lot of money who say, I want that watch. I don't care about resale. This is this guy's specific reason behind buying a watch. For him, he's not buying watches to enjoy them. And I can tell you right now, if you spend $150,000 for a watch and you say, oh, well, I want to make sure I'm getting it for the price and I can sell it for $160, you're not really buying the watch for yourself. You're buying the watch because you're hoping to make a profit on it. That's a different purchase to somebody buying a watch because they love enjoying them, or because they want to buy that and add it to their collection. This guy's trying to lump two different groups of people together and state that, oh, well, poor people are getting ripped off and wasting their money. No, that's not the case at all. There's lots of people who have Invicta watches who have Rolex. Lots of people, for example, one of my buddies has a $600,000 Richard Mille. His Mandy Lion, he's a rock star. He also has that Invicta hybrid, right? Venom hybrid. Quality, pretty close, right? I mean, not much of a difference. He says they're both killer watches, but that he didn't buy that $600,000 watch for an investment. He didn't buy it to make money off of. He didn't buy it for any other reason. The fact that he wanted it. That's it. That's it. He had the money. He wanted it.
Or that at the very least, it's going to retain its value. So when I do get rid of it, I'm going to get my money back.
Okay, you cannot predict whether something's going to retain their value. You can only make educated guesses based on prior statistics, prior sales, right? Prior information and prior analytics. You can't guarantee that, oh, I want to make sure I get my money back for this. If the whole world goes, if the whole country or world goes through a recession, your value of a watch that you may have got for a pretty fair price, again, where's your margin at? Did you absolutely rip somebody off this watch and totally lowball and take advantage of their situation? Then yeah, that's probably a much safer bet that you're going to get your money back. That's not always the case, you know. If you go buying a $130 Invicta not Subbox, but 130, like when Invicta has, like they used to have in the yellow tag events, right? If you're worried about it, and you buy a Grand Octane for $136, like some of the ones I bought, I paid $450 for some. I paid $130 for some. The timing is everything, right? I know that watch for $130, I'm easily going to be able to throw it on eBay and get my money back for it. If I want to just get my money back, it's going to happen because I got it so cheap. There's no real deep thinking behind that. There's no real research. That's just the way it is. $450, never going to get my money back for it. But I didn't buy it for that reason. I bought it because at the time I wanted a two-tone yellow and silver bracelet Grand Octane. That was the price. I wanted it. I bought it. If I had to do over, would I buy it? No, because they did have that watch on special years later. That's the way it goes sometimes. You buy it because you want it. You connect with it on some kind of level.
Money there. This wealth mindset versus poverty mindset basically differentiates your ability to retain more money while having nicer things that open more doors than basic things.
No, that's having temporary things. If you have the mindset that you are constantly worried about resale and that's why you buy things, there's nothing wrong with doing that. That's fine, but that's not, you're temporarily wearing it. And that's what a lot of these guys do. Like, what's the point of bragging about, man, look at my Rolex, if you know in 3 years you're going to try to get rid of it, right? You're just loaning it. It's on a loan to you. You're just saying, here, hold on to my money while I wear this, and I'm really going to hope I get my money back or profit from it. That's the mindset a lot of people have when they buy a Rolex watch. Not all, not overgeneralizing, but a lot of them.
To basically impress monkeys, right? So the way I basically look at it is that, you know, when we're talking about flipping watches or buying watches, we have to get away from thinking that watches like Invicta's, Michael Kors, or watches as such have any real value. Because while
I don't think anybody thinks that. I mean, there might be some folks who are maybe really uneducated. Perfect example is I had a girl the other day comment on my channel about the Venom, what was it? The Venom Joker watch. You can't find that watch right now. I think Invicta stores has one for like $3,000. Nobody's gonna buy that, right? Unless you have somebody who's really rich and wants it. There might be that one dude out there, that rare case, right? Who says, "Fuck it, I'm gonna overpay. I want it. Doesn't matter the price, right?" Right? Does not matter. But most people don't look at Invictus like that way. Most people look at Invictus being like, hey, you know, these are watches that I just enjoy to wear. That's it. There's no worry about resale or anything else. That's just the way it goes. But when you look at a watch like that, here's a case where the girl didn't understand this. And so she was like, man, I bought this for $5,000. It's worth $3,000 now. No, it's not $3,000. It's not worth $3,000 now. That's because the demand is there, but the supply is low. So they figure, I'll throw it on there for $3,000 Invicta stores. Throw it on there for $3,000. Maybe somebody will buy it. Chances are nobody's going to buy it. It's worth what somebody's willing to give you, not what somebody's selling it for.
To buy this for $500-$600, maybe even $400, its real worth is $50 to $80, even brand new.
Nope, not the case at all. Its real worth is what somebody's willing to pay. If you buy a watch for $500 and you see it elsewhere for $80, you got ripped off. You paid too much. You didn't do your research. If you buy a watch for $500 and then it becomes discontinued, and then 5 years down the road you're like, I'm not really interested in this watch anymore. I want to sell it, and the demand is there and the supply is low, you might be able to make a little money on it. This is just simple economics here. Basic stuff.
What you're paying for is really the ability to have an Invicta, which is basically a knockoff of a Rolex or some other.
Oh my God, please, dude, please. This guy's a complete moron. Yes, the Pro Diver is not a knockoff, it's a homage. But I've said it before, knockoffs are infringe on copyright. That's not the case with a Pro Diver. But why are we picking on Invicta? There are thousands of Submariner homage watches out there, from fakes to legitimate copies on DHgate and AliExpress. And then, of course, your thousands of every other company coming out every other week making, trying to reinvent the wheel. Oh, look at our new watch. It's a Submariner homage. Invicta's not the only one, and most of the watches Invicta makes are not homage watches. Had this guy just Googled Invicta.
A watch that really makes no sense. So in reality, you're better off spending $4,000, $2,000 in a Breitling that's going to be worth $2,500.
Breitlings do not hold their value for shit. I mean, they should. Had this guy even did a little research.
6-12 months, rather than actually spending $2,000 on 4 Invictas that are going to be worth no more than just $200 by the time you're done using them.
Not the case. We have no way of knowing that. He has no way of knowing that. Again, false statement.
So I think that's the big key in the difference in how you have to think about watches in general and money in general, because there is a big difference with staying poor. It is continuously spending money on things that don't not only bring you an ROI, but in many cases don't retain value.
All right, so what about living life and being happy, right? I mean, what a boring world to say that everything you buy, couch, fan, desk, you're worried about resale. And this guy is just full of shit. Like, that's not, there are things this guy's like that he buys simply because he likes them. He just refuses to mention that. It's just it's a load of hogwash. And what this guy's really ramping up to is selling you his watch program, his training academy. So what's really interesting here is, I'm going to answer some of the questions again here, but when we go, he will later on in the video, and I don't know how much more of this fucking guy can take, but you guys get the point of what I'm trying to say here, okay, and where I'm going with this. This is just complete nonsense and complete hogwash. when you click the link, he sells a training program on his website, Watch Trading Academy, that I don't, for some reason, and one of you guys mentioned the Trap Vision did a video on this the other day. And I had done a video on this guy's video like weeks ago. I just deleted it accidentally. So I figured I would just come back to it after seeing his live feed, because I wasn't the only one who was like, who the fuck is this guy? What is this bullshit this guy's talking? So I figured I felt the need to come out and make a little video. I did a live feed. Been a while since I did one. But I had already done this video based on this guy's nonsense. And when I did this video, he had his website up and rolling here. Let me just double check. Oh, here it is. So, I mean, this guy giving you guys advice, giving people advice on investing, and he can't get the right fucking link in his description, right? It takes you to deals, which is an expired 404 link. So if we click the main WTA Watch Trading Academy, here is the training program. You calculate your income goal. It's just a bunch of bullshit. Free training, log in, become a member. Let's see what it says here. Become a member. Let's see what this thing costs. Start selling watches in 30 days. Pre-owned markets. I mean, it's amazing here. Like, this is such BS. Crazy. This is just crazy, right? Despite skyrocketing growth of smartwatches, real luxury watches will always be around. It's like, yeah, no shit. A bunch of graphs that are meaningless. This kind of reminds me of, like, you remember back in the day? I don't know how old you guys are, but back in the day, there was a guy who you would see him on the infomercials late at night, and there was like this big push for being like financial freedom. I think is always the catchphrase. Financial freedom, financial freedom. And there's one guy would be like, I started printing tiny ads in magazines and newspapers across the country, and now I'm retired. But they never actually told you like what the fuck he was selling or what he was doing. In the same way, like these pyramid marketing schemes. Now, I'm not saying people don't make money with pyramid marketing, but generally they're the folks who started way in the beginning. And the only way you make money with pyramid marketing is if somebody else is spending their money on pyramid marketing. So, I mean, again, do what makes you happy. People have success stories, don't be wrong, but this is one of these schemes, okay? And this guy is basically trying to plant seeds of doubt about different watches in order for you to learn to make money with watches and buy his program. That's the real point of this. So if you're making tons of money flipping watches, what do you need your program for? What do you need to sell people a program on how to do it? Sounds like common sense to me. Buy low, sell high. That's it. Take advantage of somebody's situation and sell it for more. That's really what I get from this. Okay. Let me see what he has for free training. Watch the free video. I'm not seeing a price here. What is this? What does this cost? I know he had the price last time. Reviews, become a member. So it looks like before you were buying like a kit of some sort, if I remember correctly. Now it's becoming a member. And let me see, where's the price on this? A lot of benefits, a lot of bonuses, case studies. Where is the price? Yeah, refund policy, 14 days. 14-day refund policy. That's not a lot of time to decide if you like something, right? I mean, kind of like, haha, we got your money. So I don't know. I'm not going to continue on with this fucking bullshit. I think you guys get the point. We're almost at the end of the video, and you guys get the point. Again, be careful who you listen to. When it comes to watches, you should buy watches based on what you like, okay? Let me catch up in the comments here. We'll just answer some more questions, and then we'll close. Montrese said had. I hope you guys heard all that, but Israel said could be a connection issue. I hope you guys heard all that. Anyway, if you didn't, you heard me, and that's what's important. If you haven't listened to his video, it is called "Invicta Watches Are a Scam Against Poor People" by Watch Training Academy. Again, another guy coming out, another cockroach coming out the woodwork, bashing another brand in order to further his own agenda. That's really what it comes down to. All right, so Montrese said he had to get back to work. Thank you for joining us, man. If you're probably gone already, but AZ said, yeah, hearing the static as well. I'm sorry, guys. I'll try to get a microphone or do something different next time, but you guys get the point here, I hope. This is good stuff. Trap Vision talked about this clown too. Yep, and that's what kind of sparked me to do the live feed. I saw Trap's guy talking about this guy, and those guys are too fucking nice, man. I mean, they'll sit back and kind of not like they try to take the high road. I don't take the fucking high road. If you want to come from the gutter, I'm gonna crawl down in there with you and meet you there. That's the way. That's it. Because you can't let guys talk like this. They bash brands. They say a bunch of fake nonsense. And if nobody's there to meet these scumbags in the gutter and to rebuke them, then people believe it, and you can't have that. All All right, so let's see. Mike said I have 2 Invicta Pro divers, well above poverty. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. See, to me, when you buy Invicta, you have some common sense and you have some sort of education and some kind of reasoning process going on in your head to be able to buy amazing value watches and know what you're getting. I mean, it's people who buy Invicta are smart shoppers, in my opinion. I mean, plain and simple. Thaddeus just said this guy is a joke. I agree. He needs to spend some money for a better microphone. Me, you mean? I do need to spend some money on a better microphone. If you guys saw my microphone and my equipment I'm using for these live feeds, the webcam's okay, but it's got like a built-in mic. My mic is like literally, I'm not even shitting you guys. It was like a $3 Amazon special, a little boom mic. It's total garbage, but I'll get something. I don't know. I don't know. Usually it works, so I'm not like most of the people listening to me are like concerned about. Remember, if you're listening to me and the audio is great, if you listen to it through a cell phone, like it doesn't make a difference. So anyway, no, he blocked Trap. Who blocked Trap? He's just making money. Oh, you mean I blocked Trap? No, I didn't block Trap. I basically blocked Trap on Instagram. Trap's a good guy. I have nothing against him, but Trap went ahead and mentioned on one of my videos, which is kind of odd because I'm not starting anything. Trap's very well respected in the Invicta community. Nothing against him, but for some reason he went ahead and commented on my Instagram and came out and said he said that I was one of the most petty YouTubers out there. So I don't know why he attacked me. He didn't like clarify what he meant. I said, hey, if you don't like it, you can watch somebody else. You don't have to agree with me. So that's fine. But I'm not going to tolerate somebody like dropping an insult without actually like backing it up. So I blocked Trap. So that's the end of that. We're not all going to get along, folks. Just the way it is. All right. So regular Joe said he's making money off trying to sell a course, not flipping watches. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, I regret not knowing about Invicta before I bought my Navitimer. Yeah, man. I mean, I would never spend $300 on a watch back in the day. And I think somebody earlier asked me, what's the max I would spend on a watch? I don't like to spend much more than at this point, really, because I have, and again, it's different for my situation because I have so many. But in my situation, I really won't spend more than 3 at this point. And even then, because I have so many, it's really rare that I buy one. In the beginning, I would spend more because I didn't have as many cool pieces in my collection. So yeah, those, like my, oh, I forgot I do have another one of these. This is the one I was trying to refresh myself on. I have this watch in all black. Weird. I thought I totally forgot why I did the video. I have this in black. I said, I wish I would have got a black one. I do have a black one with the skeleton JT face and then, of course, diamonds. And so I paid, I think that was the most I paid for Invicta. I think it was close to like $490-ish, right under 5. And so, but I really liked it. And I'm glad I bought it because that watch is now discontinued and you can't find it anywhere. So that's one of those cases where I spent more for it than I really felt comfortable with. But I'm glad I did because you can't get it anymore and I would have kicked myself, right? Other times I've done that and they've come out cheaper down the road. So it just kind of depends. So I hope I answered that question. Sean said, I picked up Invicta Grand Diver on Christmas. I never really looked into the movement, tones, NH35. Can it be overwhelmed by hand from what I've read online? I'm not really sure on that either, man. I just give it a good wind and call it a day to get it rolling. So I don't know if you can overwind it. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's some information on the internet. And Mike just said here, Mike said the clutch keeps from being overwhelmed. So there you go. Good information. And then Fan 1.0 said the guy is a clown. I know some really rich people, none of them buy for resale value. When a person really has a lot of money, they don't even think about the price of value. That's absolutely true, man. It's a really interesting video because it's almost like he almost got it twisted. Like you say, most people with money don't care about the value. They don't care about reselling. We see this so many times. Guys, who made millions and millions and then go broke. People win lottery tickets and then spend and go broke. Like a lot of, I think you just can't overgeneralize a group of people or a population. Some folks look at the price tag and are frugal, like myself. I'm a penny pincher. Like most recently, my folks' HVAC system went out. Like I'm not gonna have my poor mom and dad go ahead and not to use the word poor incorrectly, but I'm not gonna have my mom and dad, who were not rich people, right, go out and get ripped off by some HVAC company when I'm more than capable of learning how to do stuff. So I went ahead and put a new inducer motor in it, right? $230, me learning how to do it, doing it correctly, and doing it myself, as opposed to a local HVAC company charging them $2,000 to fix it. I'm frugal. If we were filthy rich, I don't know. Maybe we would just say, hey, go ahead and fix it. I don't be bothered with it. But I don't know. I feel like it's a learning experience for me too to learn how to do these things. So I'm super cheap. I always look at the price tag, and I have to really like something to pay too much for. Like Rock Revival jeans, perfect example. They're super overpriced. Another example where it's like, oh, spending $180 for a pair of jeans. They're quality. They're no different than any other jeans. I'd say they're less quality than like Levi's. Are they awesome? Are they super unique? They're not for everybody. They're very blingy. They're flashy. Do I wear them all the time? No. But I really like them, and I want to add a few to my collection. So I knew I overpaid. Did the butt rip out in a lot of them? Yeah. Do I have my other jeans on that? No. So again, we pay for certain luxury, and I'm not saying Rock Revival is luxury, but for jeans, 180, that's kind of like pushing the luxury territory in the jean market. You guys know what I'm trying to say here. Sean said thanks. Sean said, sorry in driving and watching your show. Spelling is, yeah, man, be a safe driver. Don't get into an accident. Lewis said, I would rather wear a real Invicta than a fake watch. Yeah, man. I mean, I have a couple fake watches. I wanted to test out the quality from DH Gate, compared to what it was 20 years ago when I picked up one of my buddies went to New York and picked me up like an iced out Rolex, Quality was even nice then, but it's gotten a lot better. So, I mean, do I wear it from time to time? Yeah, but I mean, it's not something I'm like looking to, wear and like kind of flash in people's faces. Somebody asked me, "Is that Rolex?" I'm like, no, it's fake. I don't really care. Like that doesn't like knock my ego at all to tell people it's a fake watch. But yeah, I'm with you. I wear it once in a blue moon. As some of the other Homage watches are actual legit brand watches that you don't have to have that uncomfortable fugazi conversation should it come up. But I think, I don't knock anybody for wearing what they want. I think if you are one of those people who is driving a Ferrari, I don't see the point. People are going to believe that you are wearing a real Rolex anyway. So I don't see the point in spending the money on one when you can just buy the fake and nobody's going to question it. The fakes for $50 are so good. They're not even super fakes, and they're so good that there's really nobody's going to tell the difference. Like if somebody were to say nice watch and be like, thanks, a Rolex. Let's say you pretended, you're like, yeah, Rolex. You're gonna show it to them, they're gonna look at it. They can't tell the difference. They just can't. I mean, even a professional watch, like I don't know what you call them. Like I always want to think there's a name for a watch repair guy, but a watch master, watch repair shop. They're gonna have to really look it over to tell the difference. They've gotten so good. So I mean, always buy what you like. I don't judge. If you want to wear a fake watch, wear a fake watch. You want to wear an Invicta, wear an Invicta. What I don't want is for people to bash the quality of this brand based on incorrect facts, bash the people wearing the brand based on a bunch of bullshit and nonsense. This is not the case. Rich people wear Invicta, poor. I don't even like the word poor. It's like derogatory. I think less wealthy, I think is a nicer way of saying it. Less wealthy people wear Invicta. And people wear what they want. You can't judge a book by its cover, that old saying, you know what I mean? It is what it is. So anyway, I hope you guys got something from this. Do you guys have any other questions for me? I believe we're still rolling here. Still got 18 people, pretty good live feed today. You never know how these are going to do. So I do appreciate all you guys taking the time to pop in, listen to me ramble about this guy. I hope most of what you guys heard. I don't know why I have to reboot the computer. I don't know why you didn't hear his content through my computer. Something going on here. Maybe something came loose. I don't really know, but I'll figure it out. But again, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for taking the time to pop into the chat and ask the questions. It's flattering. I appreciate it. Sean just said I can't wear anything under 48 millimeter. Invicta ruined me. Kyle said, still hearing some static. Yeah, man, must be. I don't know. Let me move the phone here. Now that I got the phone next to the computer, I'm sure that fixed it. Jif Pop just told me to do this like an hour ago, and I did, and I put it back there. Kyle said, thanks for the show. Yeah, I mean, what you do get a little desensitized, but like I said, I've been working with Dartmouth brands for a while now. Let me answer Rios here. I've worked with Dartmouth for a while. We know their watches like the Nubeo line, awesome quality. They're big, really cool stuff, and they're always coming out with something new. So I've been, when you're getting a lot of watches sent to you for free, it it kind of puts a little bit of the brakes on buying watches for yourself because you're always you have the excitement every single almost week in being able to open something new. But there's something for everyone. I be honest with you, putting this on, I haven't worn a larger watch in a while, and I was like, wow, this is kind of uncomfortable. I can't believe I said it. But I was like, man, this is digging in. I felt like a bitch. But I'm one day strong. I'm still good. Wearing it 12 hours, I'm straight. Rio City Fat Cat. I seem to really upset the watch snobs on their YouTube shows when they're man, your vocabulary is a fuck ton better than mine. Braggadocious about the accuracy of their Rolexes when I mentioned that my $10 Casio keeps better time. Yeah, man. Does Invicta use real diamond? Yes, Invicta does. Again, some watches use spinel. Some Invicta watches use spinel. Some have used like different gemstones, but usually they'll tell you whether it's crystal or diamond. So it just depends on the watch. But yeah, man, it's like they want to talk about precision and accuracy, and then you bring that fact up, and then it like doesn't compute. It like throws salt in their wounds or something like that. Like it throws off like a bent rod or something like that. Engine problems. It's just they don't know how to compute with that common sense statement. It's like you're refuting what they're stating. It's like I think a more legitimate argument would be, yeah, Rolex really puts a lot into their movements, and they do a lot of fine attention to detail with their movements, right? And they do regulate their movements, right? So I think that's a more honest argument about what you're getting with a Rolex watch. The attention to detail, more of the quality control than they're just so accurate. Like, dude, that's not really all that difficult to do. Richard Brett Watchmaker did it with a $68 Pro Diver NH35, regulating plus 1 minus second per day. I mean, that's as good as any Rolex chronometer made. So it's like if you can do it with a $68 watch, then what's the difference, right? And so the normal thinking, the normal guy with common sense or girl with common sense, the critical thinking mind can look at that and ask those questions. But for some reason, and I don't want to say all Rolex owners, a lot of Rolex owners, they don't get it. They're like, what? Well, fuck you. Like it's like you've insulted them somehow in stating something, in refuting something they're claiming. So yeah, man, I don't know. Mike just said, Bill Gates wears Casio. Sean said, thanks for all the great content. Keep up the good work. Yeah, man, it's my pleasure. Look, we had a lot of really new names in here. I'm not sure where, where you guys got the notification. I don't, maybe you guys all of you are subscribed. Not really sure, but yeah, it's nice when we get folks in here. And like I said in many videos, people who aren't Invicta fans are always welcome to come into these chats as long as you're respectful and you're not going to sit there and be like, Invicta sucks or Invicta's for poor people or I mean, like, I don't take personal offense. These comments, what I take, what I get from that is the need to spread the truth, right? I'm going to wear what I like, regardless of who likes it. That's the way I've always been. There are fools out there who, do wear things for the approval of others. And if that's your personality, then that's fine. But just don't, do what you do, but don't tell me what I should do, right? This Cool Out just said the snobs can't admit that they're paying for the brand name. Yeah, it's like some guy the other day said that I don't know what I'm talking about. Louis Vuitton bags are amazing. Like Louis Vuitton is one of the most marked up brands out there. I mean, if you compare, like, Louis Vuitton started as a luggage company, and so I'm not saying that a Louis Vuitton bag isn't good quality, but you're paying a premium for that quality. And there are many other plain old leather bags and suitcases that you can get at Ross and TJ Maxx that are just as durable. Plastics, different types of modern materials. And let's face it, plain old leather. Like there are leather bags out there that are amazing quality for a fraction of the cost. So what are you paying for? Sure, yeah, quality comes along with it, right? But you're paying for the brand name. You're paying for the allure of wearing it and owning it, and for honestly, for people to, you're paying for people to say, oh, that's why the girls wear it. That's why it's always odd to me when men actually are like feel the need to wear brands like Gucci and stuff like that, because it's kind of, to me, a feminine kind of trait to wear, like, you're wearing you have the Louis Vuitton bag to be noticed by other women. You know what I mean? Like, a man's not going to be like, Louis Vuitton, nice baby, what's your number? Like, that's not usually not how that interaction goes. It's odd to me when guys are so pumped up about the names and wearing brand names. Like you'll never see me wear a Gucci shirt, you know. Like I always wear this friggin' shirt. I'm a Mike Tyson fan. You know what I mean? You know, am I a badass boxer? You know, I mess around a little bit, but you know, I'm just a fan. You know, so it's just like what other guys like when they wear, you know, like Gucci or like Louis Vuitton. It's just like you are really trying to let people know that you spent a lot of money. That's the point. That's why brands like Louis Vuitton have that crazy monogram kind of design. It's so like when you look at it, you're like, yep, it's a Louis. You see it from a distance. You're not trying to find the label, you know. And that's the whole point of that stuff. So, Enrico just said, thanks, Phatkat. Keep up the good work. Champion the ordinary watch wearer. Absolutely, man. It's my pleasure. Israel said, lots of girly men these days. Yeah, you know, and I don't want to, you know, insult anybody for you know, what they like. I mean, again, you know, I'd be a hypocrite to do that, but I generally will do that if somebody's trying to do it to me. Like I said, I'll come down and meet you, you know, in the gutter. If you want to be nasty to me, I'll be nasty back, you know. But you know, at the end of the day, if we're just really talking about quality, about value, I mean, you really can't be, you know. Again, this isn't for everybody. You know, this is a big, giant, gaudy, in-your-face watch, but you know that's the whole point. That's you know they're amazing. And you know something I want to bring up too. I get a lot of comments too about like just, you know since you guys are all here like David out wearing like leather jackets. You get it with all categories like that. You know I did a rebuttal to Alpha Male doing that leather jacket video. He made the statement. Any leather jacket under 200 is fake. I'm like, that's a complete fucking lie. Like, I have 42 leather jackets. Some were, I think my lowest price one was like $69, something like that on eBay. And then other ones are, you know, like my Icon jacket, you go with the price here, which is meaningless on quality. You know, those jackets when I bought them were like $650. And so when we compare quality, is the riding jacket nicer than, you know, the $69 red lambskin jacket? Yeah, it's nicer, but it's different material. It was a lot more expensive, which again is not. We're going to come back to that. But you know, when you look at the quality difference, yes, there is a quality difference. It's designed to ride. It came with the pads. It's designed. It's more purpose built than fashion built, right? And so we can look at that and we can actually say, okay, well, I see why this one might cost more. It feels like it's really a better substantial jacket. You can't really make that determination with like a Rolex compared to like a Pagani design or like an Invicta Zeus Bolt. You can say, oh well, I don't like the way this one looks, or I don't like that color. This one, you know, this you're not going to pick up this watch and be like, oh, this one just feels cheap compared to the construction of the Rolex. Like anybody who says that just is doing it on purpose, like, you know. And when we come back to leather jackets, you know, like my Icon jackets for that price, you're paying for that kind of hot name at the time as well. When we compare that to my my Pretender leather Stormbringer jacket, which James Fred knows what kind of amazing quality you get with that. You know, I mean, it's nicer. Buffalo, it's an amazing jacket. You know, so again, prices all over the place with really anything. It just really comes down to if you want something, you might pay a little more for it. Being a smart shopper, you know. I don't know. That's just my take on it, and I hope you guys got something from it. So. Anyway, thanks for taking time to watch the video. I got Chipotle today, so I'm going to I'm getting ready to chow down, baby. I need it. So I'm addicted to it. Rio to say, Phatkat, just a suggestion. You should stream today's show so you can see how awful your sound. Well, yeah, man, it will stream. I hope I hope I don't have to delete it because if it's really bad, there's no point in people watching it. So something going on here. I'll get it figured out because normally my setup works fine. But I will, after I do a live stream, it does become live and it becomes searchable. So I'll check it out. And hopefully next time, maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure how to, I wish you could do like a test run, but you can't. You have to close it out and then start a new feed. So I don't know. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Again, Happy New Year to all of you folks. As always, if you have any questions, drop me a comment, drop me an email. Find me on Facebook, you know, Phatkat Collections. I get back to everybody whenever they have a question or need guidance on something. Like I said, I'm no expert, just have some good real world experience. And if I can pass it on to you, I will. Thanks for watching, folks. Have a fantastic evening and take care of yourselves.